Okay, everybody. Hey, y'all, what's up? How's it going? So, this is the first episode in my Honesty from Exchange YouTube series. I've been here basically 6 months, which is kind of a long time, in my opinion. And I wanted to start giving a lot more advice for future exchange students. I know a lot of people have been messaging me about a lot of things. I've been trying my best to give advice. I've made a couple of videos on things like application and interviews, and then a Q&A. I had a lot of questions that random people asked me. And so I decided to start breaking things down into clear topics that I can make videos about that hopefully will help you guys if you're planning on doing exchange or if you know you're going on exchange. So today's topic is kind of broad. It's about school. So that includes graduating, your credit transfer, your workload, and then I'm gonna kind of give some examples from my experiences. So I have it all written down. So if I look over there, that's why. So I broke it up into 3 categories. Credit transfer / classes. Yeah. So credits, your workload, and then my examples. I like to put a disclaimer out there. I can only speak for my German school that I go to, my German gymnasium, and my high school / what I know about high schools back home. I have had conversations with other exchange students about their schools here, but for first-hand experience, I only know about my gymnasium. So take that as you will. Okay, credit transferring. And this involves like anything about like graduating or your grades or your transcripts, stuff about that. First of all, German schools have a lot more classes. My school, we take like 14 classes per semester, and you only have a class between 1 or 3 times a week. So they don't really have like electives. They don't really have separate maths. It's just math every year. And they don't really have separate histories. So if you need, is what I'm saying with that, if you need a specific math, like if you need algebra 2, or if you need world history or US history or something like that, like be conscious of that as you're going into exchange, that they probably won't have the exact class you need. You should also make sure before you go to check with your counselor how many credits you need to graduate and how many of those credits that you could potentially make up somewhere else. I highly suggest doing summer school or doing extra credits during the school year back home. That way you don't have to take as many credits here. Because I don't recommend relying on getting all of your credits while you're on exchange. Some people have been doing really well. I know some people have kept all their credits, all their classes, grades, and are going to transfer all of them back home. But in my experience, it's harder to do school, especially if you don't speak German. If you speak German, then go ahead. Why not? Like, props to you. But if you are like me and you didn't speak any German before coming here, I highly recommend not counting the credits you earn here or as few as possible. It's also, if you're a person who's concerned about getting a high GPA, which no hate against you, I'm one of those kids, just know that it's a lot harder on average to get like the equivalent of an A here. It's a lot more normal to get like a B or C, maybe even a D in some classes, like that's normal. So if you're concerned about that, then I'd recommend also not counting your credits here. The grading system is also different. They don't really have credits. They just have like a report card, and in their Abitur, which is how they graduate, they have like a point system. But a lot of exchange students aren't put in those grades to do the Abitur. Like I'm not, even though I'm in 12th grade, I was put in 10th grade here. And so I don't really have credits per se. So I had a very long Zoom call with my high school counselor back home while I was here. And they're basically just counting the credits that I am receiving, or the grades that I am receiving, as kind of an umbrella, and they're just going to count it as the same equivalent to the credits back home if I were taking that same class. So colleges need transcripts, okay? And this year when I was applying to colleges, I had to give my transcript for my German school since I am getting I'm taking 3 classes worth of credits. And so that was kind of complicated because they don't have a transcript per se. They have like a Zeugnis or however, I don't know how to say it, which is basically like the report card, and you like add to it every year, but it's not necessarily a transcript because you don't have credits. So it was kind of complicated. I had to like give them a list of my classes and grades, and the school had to email them that I actually went there, and it was, yeah, point is, I don't recommend having credits. And finally, I know at least from my high school back home, it's kind of complicated to get your transcripts from abroad, because we don't really have transcripts. So, especially if you're not there anymore. So keep in mind, my high school told me that when I'm going back home, I should get my grades sent back home before I leave Germany, because it'll be way too complicated to try to get it from Germany once I'm back in the US, and it could potentially cause me not to graduate on time or at all. So be mindful of that is what I'm saying. Okay, moving on to the second section, workload. At least in my school, compared to the regular US high school, there's honestly, the amount of homework isn't that bad, especially since you only have your classes 1 to 3 times a week. And so you have a lot of time before your next class to actually get your homework done, for the most part. However, unlike American schools, at least my German school, they only have like 2 class tests, like big tests, a semester. And these tests count as at least half or more of their grade. And so if you do bad on these tests, then you do bad. You're not good. And they're not multiple choice, they're not fill in the blank, they're just writing, a lot of writing, and you have to know everything. These tests are hard, and so you have to study a lot for them. And secondly, oral grade. The other half of your grade or part of your grade is oral grade and participation. So you have to participate in discussions, you have to answer questions, you have to be willing to read, etc., etc. And so if you're a person who kind of can't speak German, honey, that might be difficult for you, as it is for me. So oral grades are gonna tank. So combine that with the only having 2 tests a semester and not being able to read or write German. Point is, you will most likely have a very bad grade in all of your classes, is what I'm gonna say. And so you shouldn't count on wanting to transfer your credits. Okay, finally, I'm going to talk about my personal experience, what I'm doing, my example, how I'm going about this. So last year I was a junior and I did Running Start. So I did a year of college in high school that counts for my high school credits. And so I did all of my required classes for graduation, like math and science and English. All of those I did last year. So I did like 2 English classes, 2 or 3 science classes, and so the only one I didn't do was math, but I did do a summer school of math. So I did like a year of math in 3 weeks over the summer. That was awful, but I did it. And so this year I only needed 1.5 credits. And so after I said, I had a long Zoom discussion with my high school counselor, and then I had discussions with my German counselor per se. And my high school is basically counting the classes, any classes I take here that I want to count, they'll just count it under the same umbrella as my credits back home. So yes, I'm getting grades in 3 or 4 classes. Honestly, I'm not sure if the 4th one gets a grade or not, because I guess I don't work on next week, but then that's not grades, so I don't actually know. English, obviously, art, sport, and then maybe music. If I would recommend doing the same thing or something similar, because those classes, English obviously, but like art and sport, okay, to be honest, I'm not a sporty person. I enjoy sports, I like sports, but I'm just not good at it, and I'm not very athletic. So, but those aren't classes that you need to have a strong oral grade in, and they're more like performance based instead of like writing and reading, and so it's easier for me to get a better grade. In music, I thought it would be easy because I like music, but I thought it wouldn't require a lot of talking, but I was wrong. So, oh well. Anyways, yeah, so I'm getting graded in 3 classes, 3 maybe 4, and those are the classes that will transfer back home. So, and also, I've been having trouble getting a semester report card, but I will for sure have one by the end of the year. But if that's something your high school also really wants, just know that that's kind of something that's might be hard to get, because my school just legit just didn't give me one. So, to be honest, it's kind of, I think I'm going to make another video completely separate on what it's like treatment-wise and participation-wise, and what it's actually like being an exchange student in the school. This video was more like the logistics of it all and working everything out with your American high school. But I do want to make one regarding how you're going to feel, what's it going to be like, what are going to be difficulties for you going to a German high school as an American exchange student, especially one who doesn't speak German. A lot of these things for these videos that I say are hard, honestly, okay, a lot of them will apply to everyone, but a lot of them will also only apply to the people who don't speak German or have a very, not very good understanding of German, because that complicates things. Now, I just want to say, this Honesty from Exchange series is not to discourage you from going on exchange at all. I still have a very strong opinion that everybody should go on exchange. Everybody should study abroad, or at least for a little bit, whether it's like 2 weeks to a whole year. I think everyone should do this experience. I think it will change you for the better, both as a world citizen and as a person for yourself, as an individual. And I think that you will learn things about yourself and about the world and about anything that you could never learn anywhere else. And I think exchange is one of those few opportunities for people to really experience something outside of themselves and outside of their own little bubble that they've grown up in. And so I really want everyone watching this to go on exchange or study abroad. But I just also want you to be aware of the struggles and the more harder things of exchange that people don't tend to talk about as much, or they're glossed over, and people don't talk about because they want to encourage you to go on exchange. And I'm telling you that I'm encouraging you to go on exchange, but I'm also telling you the things to prepare you for exchange. So, with that, I'm going to end the video. Follow me on Instagram, follow my blog, both here, and see you next week. Let me know if there's any specific topics that you want to know about. If there's anything that I said that you're confused about, or if you're German and you're like, Daisy, that was wrong, what are you talking about? Leave it down in the comments. Subscribe. Yeah. Love you all. Bye.